All right, welcome to week 3 of, I guess this is going to be my final chapter for the hero versus hero storyline. Next week, I'm going to talk about something a little bit different, just for fun. We'll kind of swap it up a little bit. I may return back to comics. If you want to give me suggestions, by all means, throw it in the comments. You can always email it. Uh, Throw up a comment on YouTube if you like. If you are looking at this on YouTube, you are seeing my little Twitter thing there. That you can also throw it out there as well. Either Steve and I will take a crack at it. But still. So this week we're finally going to get to it. It's only taken 3 episodes. We're going to get to Avengers versus Justice League. And who wins? Well, as you know, I've always got to have my provisos, my quid pro quos, etc. and so forth. Which Avengers, which Justice League are we talking about? Problem that we run into is, as always, there's 15 million variations we could go with. Normally, Justice League's fairly simple. They're kind of wanting the original 7. Which, again, which 7 are we talking about? Are we talking about the 1960 version, which is basically Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Aquaman, and the Martian Manhunter? Or do you want the new 52 version, which swaps out the Manhunter for Cyborg? Kind of like they did in the movies here. I'm still waiting for them to throw David Ogden Stiers in as Martian Manhunter, make that canon. But that's got to be hilarious. Charles Emerson Winchester, the Manhunter. But still, I wonder if they could get Kelsey Grammer to do it, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, so I guess you paid him enough money. I guess that could work. But that's about the only one I could see really filling those massive shoes. But that's usually the Justice League side that they're after, and that kind of makes it a little easier. With the Avengers, again, we do kind of go into what they have in the movies, which again is Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, Hawkeye. Then I guess you could probably add who else you want there: Vision, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Wasp, etc., and so forth. Look at the comics, again, originals. You got Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Ant-Man, and the Wasp. There's your original 5. Then who do you go for? Because you got to have 2 more members, because 5 on 7 is just not going to work. Well, you have Cap added in issue 4. Very famous issue, very expensive issue. To tell you the truth, a pretty interesting issue if you actually do get a chance to read it. Places you can read it online, but it's kind of interesting how they're building him. Then, of course, in issue 16, everybody leaves except for Cap. He's left there by himself, and he's added by basically 3 former villains, believe it or not, in Scarlet Witch, her brother Quicksilver, and Hawkeye. 2 of them being from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Hawkeye actually starts out as an Iron Man villain, along with Black Widow, kind of serendipity there. And they basically form what was called Cap's Kooky Quartet, up until issue 28, when you have Goliath come back, the former Ant-Man. Now instead of shrinking, he's growing, which you can see that in the MCU. And then the Wasp comes in, and it's kind of them. That's your 6, because Avengers, they like to have it in 6 or 7, until you get to around issue 38 when Hercules joins, so there's your 7 there. And that sticks around to about issue 50 when you start getting Thor and Iron Man coming back, and a couple other, things come in. Black Panther gets added, Wonder Man, etc., and so forth. Around, like I said, from about the 50s on, you kind of have more of a guiding, more of a moving type membership deal. And then, but I will say, there's a lot of instability in the Avengers. You get a lot of groups that kind of stick around for 5 or 6 issues, then you're swapped out. For example, you have one where it's quite a while, where it's like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Wonder Man, Beast, Vision, and the Scarlet Witch. They're kind of always tied together. They're in there for a good long while. You get one version where the Third Masters of Evil, one of my favorite groupings, where you have Cap, Wasp, Iron Man, Thor, She-Hulk, and Hawkeye, which I always loved that mixture, because you had a lot of interpersonality things that kind of ran around there. Of course, then all of a sudden you have them split into the West Coast Avengers, which is where you've got Hawkeye and his wife Mockingbird. You have Iron Man, Wonder Man, and Tigra, which is always a fun pairing. They kept looking to get Thing added into that group. That was a long-running storyline. So the Avengers lineup mixes up quite a lot. And, of course, when I stopped reading, like I said, around a little after the 300s, I guess you could say, where you actually have Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman join, and they care so much about the Avengers they keep wearing their Fantastic Four uniforms while they're members of the Avengers, just to show you how diluted that title was starting to become. But pretty much everybody becomes an Avenger. It gets to be ridiculous. I mean, used to, it was fairly easy to figure out who was an Avenger and who wasn't, because you had one title to deal with. Then you had two, and it was pretty much it. And you actually even had a storyline where the Great Lake Avengers come in, and basically the Avengers say, no, you're not worthy of being Avengers. You can't use our name. It's trademarked, etc., and they have to find something else to do. Great Lakes X-Men, which I always thought was hilarious. But now everybody's an Avenger. It's kind of like the Justice League. Everybody's a member at one time or another. I mean, if you look at the Avengers proper, I mean, shoot, there's two Venoms that are Avengers, both the Eddie Brock and the Flash Thompson versions. They're technically Avengers. Conan the Barbarian's an Avenger, believe it or not, due to some wacky storylines. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Used to, and I kind of feel, I mean, if the Avengers were real, if we were like actually in the Avengers or the Marvel Comics universe, it'd be real easy to find out who's an Avenger. You go into the tax records of the Maria Stark Foundation, which is one thing that I loved about comics back when I read them. It kind of like, you know, how do they pay their bills? How do they reimburse people for the cars that they destroy in battles and stuff like that? Well, you build a Maria Stark Foundation. That's named after Tony Stark's mother, obviously, because that's what celebrities do. And, you know, they were basically a nonprofit that handled everything for the Avengers. You know, what do I do to show my appreciation? Well, make a donation to Maria Stark Foundation. You know, She-Hulk threw my car at Whirlwind. What do? Well, build a Maria Stark Foundation. The Avengers actually got paid out of the Maria Stark Foundation. They got like $1,000 a month if they were ever dropped in inactive status. $1,000 a week, which they got at their weekly Sunday meeting, which I always thought was hilarious. Imagine all these heroes hitting Avengers Mansion once a week just to pick up their paycheck and to see if there's anything they needed to go do. Hilarious. But it in between epic storylines, it kind of gave them something to do. That's when he started doing his weekly poker games, etc. and so forth. Or his irregular poker games, I guess you could say, which always came up with interesting storylines. But Avengers got like $1,000 a week, and then once they became inactive, they got like $100 a month. Now, certain heroes, Iron Man obviously, would refuse the stipend. Others got really excited when they found that they got paid. Tiger, for example, had a fairly funny instance when she found out she actually got paid. She-Hulk instantly went out and bought a pink Cadillac, which ended up being hilarious because it instantly got destroyed as soon as she got her first check. It's, you know, all that good fun stuff. But it kind of added a little bit of realism to them. Nowadays, you know, they got to basically write checks out to half the Marvel Universe, it seems. Justice League, same thing. Everybody's a member of the Justice League, pretty much. But, so who do you take as your hero there? I guess your original 7. Well, I think I've got to take the original 5, obviously, because how else do I have a chance? I've got to have Hulk. Got to have Hulk. I mean, Captain America, because he's my 6. And I guess I get to pick which one of the 3 I take for if I'm still going with the originals, because otherwise it's not really fair if I just cherry pick 7 heroes that I want. So basically, I'm not taking Hawkeye, obviously, especially not at the point he joined. He became a much better hand-to-hand combatant, but at this point he's just a trick shot artist. When he becomes, say, the West Coast Avengers guy, he's almost on par with Cap as far as being a good fighter. Too bad I can't just like skip these 3 and pick up Hercules. That'd be nice, but still, I can't do that yet. But yeah, Hercules being added to these original 5 would be fun, because then I got basically everybody can bench press a city block whenever Ant-Man becomes Goliath. So you would think I would take Scarlet Witch, obviously, because of her power set. But remember, I read comics back here. I wasn't alive at this time, but I've gone back and got the back issues, or got the reprints, Marvel Essentials, etc. And Scarlet Witch really isn't worth anything at this point in time. She gets tired real easily. She's really erratic. Obviously, she's got power, but sometimes they're just not. It's not worth having her around. Again, she's not really that valuable. So I have to kind of take Quicksilver. He's probably the best hero in a fight at this point in time. My problem is Quicksilver isn't close to being able to catch up with Flash. So I almost have to take Scarlet Witch by default. Now, of course, if I take them all at the peak of their powers, obviously Scarlet Witch is probably number 1 pick out of all of them. to be quite honest with you. But if I've got to take my original 7 at the point when the comic started, I'm probably taking Quicksilver, even though I know that's an automatic loss to Flash, but maybe he can get lucky and dink Aquaman in the back of the head before Flash catches up to him. But that's kind of where I'm at. So, who wins the battle 10 minutes into the introduction? Justice League. There's no question. You can't. There's no way that the original 7 are going to beat the Justice League. It's just not going to happen. And part of it is because of the way DC Comics does their characters. Marvel's always been grounded. That's the thing about Marvel characters. They're always grounded. It's like Iron Man, he's brilliant. Max scientist, can invent anything, has his flying suit, go into space, go into the Marianer's Trench. He needs something to build an armor to do it, but he's an alcoholic, and whenever he does that, his life kind of falls apart. Thor, as obviously he's an Asgardian god, but he's got issues with his brother, he's got issues with his dad, he doesn't want the throne, he wants to hang out in Midgard, and to teach him humility, he turns into a human being. The Hulk, maximum strength imaginable, maximum invulnerability imaginable, but he's basically a mindless beast with a brilliant scientist trapped in his mind. I could go on and on. Don't get me started on Spider-Man. Speaking of, they always wondered why Spider-Man never joined the Avengers. Number one, he didn't need to be it. Number two, again, like I talked about week 1, his power set really didn't fit in with a team group, to be quite honest with you. He didn't really stay for any kind of extended period or actually join the comics till issue 236. In 237, he basically said, we don't need you, or we don't need y'all. But then he found out later on that they actually got paid. I'm sitting there thinking that would have solved so many of Spider-Man's problems, because he could have lived in Avengers Mansion, got his $1,000 a week, and basically had access to all their tech to basically work on his school projects. Which, could you imagine having Tony Stark help you with your homework? That would have been fun. Or Donald Blake help you with your homework. Or Bruce Banner whenever the Hulk decided to show up. Black Panther, Hank McCoy. I mean, you look at all these genius people, Hank Pym, that wanders through the Avengers Mansion to help you with your science homework, and you're also a genius. That would have been fun, but still, you kind of wonder why they didn't just put Spider-Man in there just to make the money, if nothing else. I don't know how expensive it is to live in New York in the 70s and 80s, but I would think $1,000 a month, $1,000 a week plus rent free. Probably could do all right, I would think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But still. But you look at DC heroes. You got the world's greatest detective. You got King of Atlantis. You've got fastest man alive. You've got basically Mr. Invulnerable dude, who his literal power was he could do anything he wants. Remember, Superman at one time was just able to leap really tall buildings. Then all of a sudden he can fly. He was the smartest character on the planet. Basically, he could just think his way out of any problem. Part of the reason why they had to come up with kryptonite, part of the reason why they had to come up with this invulnerability to magic is somehow we've got to make something stop this dude. Kind of the reason why in the whole 60s they came up with all this goofy stuff for him to do, which is always kind of at part cringeable, at part hilarious when you look back at it. But just because nobody could stop this guy. Kind of the same thing with DC Comics ran into later on with Superboy Prime. Just because his power is he can do whatever the heck he wants. So, and Green Lantern got the power of will. He's got this biggest will issue on the planet. Can create basically anything his mind wants. Martian Manhunter, just as strong as Superman, just as invulnerable to Superman. Only issue is he don't like fire, but yet he can turn intangible. There's Wonder Woman, almost as strong as Superman. Has can deflect everything with her bracelets, lasso truth, invisible jet, most powerful Amazon. It's all this maximum type stuff, but they don't have the feet of clay that Marvel heroes do. But it's kind of like if you really break down the fight, if you really want to go 7-on-7, I'll even take and if you take Manhunter, you're kind of screwed, because unless I'm able to add Vision, which I can't add until issue 55, I think it is. Maybe 63, somewhere around there. But until I'm able to bring Vision in, I can't touch Martian Manhunter. Nobody really on the Marvel side can really do anything to anybody intangible at this point in time. Maybe Iron Man could come up with something, but again, if I put him on a battlefield, what am I going to do? But it's kind of like Captain America and Batman's going to square off. Captain America's going to win that fight. Don't at me. But it's going to take him some time, and again, it's two humans. So again, Iron Man I care about, Hulk I care about, Thor I care about. Ant-Man is not going to last very long just because of his power set until he becomes Goliath. At this point, he's not Goliath yet. When you look at issue 1, so yay or nay, Wasp I don't really care about. Again, she can be annoyance, but her Wasp things really aren't that powerful. So I'm kind of taking those two out. Captain America, again, human being. I can blast you from 100 feet up with I-beams. What are you going to do? Quicksilver, again, he can't beat Flash. If I take Scarlet Witch, again, human beings, yeah, it'd be nice, but she's not Firestorm. She can't make, the grass kryptonite. She's not to that level. She's not that kind of a matter manipulator. And making the Earth shake accidentally is not going to do anything to what half the team can fly on the DC side. So I'm basically down to Iron Man, Hulk, Thor. That's my 3. That's pretty much it. And on the Justice League side, I've got Superman, I've got Wonder Woman, I've got Flash, I've got Green Lantern, I've got Aquaman, who's over in the corner talking to fish, and I've got Manhunter. So I've got 5 of the 6 can fly, and the only ones that can't is Batman, the world's greatest plot armor, and the Flash, who basically doesn't need to fly. So, it's 3 on 5. Basically, or 3 on 6, basically, because I think they could. I mean, Batman gets taken out. Let's be honest here. Aquaman probably gets taken out at this point in time. He's not as powerful as he is now with the hook hand, but you're basically looking at 5 on 3. And as much as I think Hulk is a game changer in every route, he can still get beat. He can still get knocked out. Him and Thor can go toe to toe for a good long while. I have no doubt in my mind that he can't go toe to toe with Superman for a good long while everybody else gangs up on Iron Man, who eventually drops. Because you put Flash, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman up against Iron Man, I think that's a loss for him, even though, especially at this point in time, it doesn't last that long, which means then all of a sudden they turn their tables to Thor, who's probably still trying to figure out how to get lightning to strike Martian Manhunter. He goes down, everybody against Hulk, he's eventually going to get punched into the sun. It's not a fair contest. You can't, until later on we were actually able to boost some of these heroes' power sets on the Marvel side, Justice League beats them. I think even if I'm able to bring in Hercules, the fight lasts longer, but Hercules versus Wonder Woman, again, that just ties her up for a while. Until I'm able to get Vision in to do something against Martian Manhunter, he's the game changer. He is the one that's going to be able to take a lot of the Marvel heroes out without even getting a scratch put on them. And again, what do I do with Superman? To me, it makes life a lot easier when I can throw you into the sun. I can't do that, Superman. He can fly. He can fly in space. He can breathe in space. Iron Man's really good in a worst-case scenario, grabbing somebody and flicking them into the sun. So can Thor. Hulk can punch you into orbit. But if orbit's no problem for you and you just fly back, what do I do? And I've got to have a couple more characters that can actually gang up on Superman because, again, his power, especially in 1960, is you just can't beat him. You throw all the Batman plot armor you want, but Superman's really the one that I've got to concentrate on because he's got that huge target on his chest. But how do I beat Martian Manhunter? I don't have anybody on the Marvel side as of yet to do that. And I will throw one caveat, and I'd love to hear your comments at the end of it. Everybody loves this Captain America versus Batman thing. Issue 53, I get Black Panther. I want to know who wins between Black Panther and Batman. Because Black Panther basically has a martial art all his own. He's got an agility that is pretty much superhuman, or superhuman depending on how you read it. But let's just say he's max human agility. He's probably as strong as Batman. No human is as strong as Captain America, but he's probably as strong as Batman. He's probably got more endurance than Batman does. Of course, he's not Cap levels, but he still has. I'll probably say he's got more endurance than Batman. I don't know if he's as durable as Batman is, as far as like getting punched, because Batman's like 90% Captain America as far as across the level, and Batman probably knows more martial arts, but he's not nearly as agile. His suit probably is more padded than Black Panther's, but I'd like to get your thoughts on who wins between Batman and Black Panther. Excuse me, between Batman and Black Panther unarmored. But to answer your question, winner between Avengers and Justice League. If we're going originals, It's Justice League all day long. And if I had to take Cyborg over Martian Manhunter again, it still beats him because Cyborg and Iron Man basically pair off, which leaves Superman to take out the Hulk, Wonder Woman with Thor, the humans get dropped out, which means Green Lantern's got plenty of time to go help out everybody else. And the Flash, again, Quicksilver's ability is he runs fast. That's it. He just runs fast. Super speed, he's running fast. He's, Usain Bolt on every steroid known to man. Flash, you add extra stuff. You got the lightning throw, you got the speed force, and everything that comes with it. He is, yes, he's as fast as Quicksilver, but he's got all this extra stuff that comes with it. So what are you going to do? You're going to lose. Sorry. So even if you swap out Cyborg, again, it might get interesting depending on which Cyborg you get to go against Iron Man. How goofy he wants to be. If you get the real super serious Cyborg, and maybe it's more of a fight. But again, Cyborg and Green Lantern against Iron Man, yeah, sorry. Especially 1960s Iron Man, because you're able to kind of get through his armor somewhat. I think you throw enough green trains at Iron Man, you're going to be able to chip into that armor eventually. But that is going to bring this trilogy, I guess you could say, to a close. Next week, I'm probably going to go into wrestling. I've kind of got a one-shot that I've been kicking around. I'm going to throw at you, see how you like it. Hope you enjoy it. Then I think I'm going to do some zombie stuff. Hope you enjoy that as well. And we'll see how that goes. But thank you for watching. By all means, follow. This is going to be on Spotify. This is on YouTube. It's also going to be on the website. Y'all enjoy. Any comments at the bottom? Make sure you hit our website, 10poundbag.com. And y'all have a great day. Thank you.